that the Browns media is done with this whole Dillon Gabriel thing, and everything is looking suspect with them and this whole Shedeur thing, because it looked like there was definitely a planned attack on Shedeur character and performance on the football field, set in stone by people that work in Cleveland media. People can say what they want. I'm holding true and definitely believing that there was a conspiracy to depict Shedeur playing ability to be a certain way.
What if I told you the Browns' shiny new golden boy, Dillon Gabriel, just went viral? And not for a clutch touchdown or highlight reel throw, but because a hot mic caught a reporter absolutely roasting him. This isn't your average locker room headline. This is chaos Cleveland style, the kind that makes PR managers lose sleep and social media blow up overnight. Forget touchdowns. This is pure entertainment gold, and it's happening in real time. Cleveland has always thrived on drama. It's basically their second sport after football. But this time, the fireworks didn't come from a bad play or a messy loss. Nope, it came from one microphone that should have been off.
Dillon Gabriel is a limited player at the quarterback position. He puts a ceiling on whatever your offense is capable of doing. Not that the offense was lighting it up with Joe Flacco as the quarterback, but it's gotten worse with Dillon Gabriel as your guy. And at some point, you have to move on, just for change's sake, if for no other reason, to give hope to the other 52 guys in the locker room that maybe something can change, maybe we can find a way to run it.
A reporter went nuclear on Dillon Gabriel behind the scenes, and now the Browns quarterback saga has exploded into a full-blown circus. It's the kind of meltdown you'd expect in a reality show finale, not a post-practice interview. For weeks, whispers have been flying around Cleveland, people saying the local media quietly flipped on Dillon Gabriel. But this story, it didn't start with his first interception or even his first rookie mistake. It started way back when Shedeur Sanders became the city's favorite punching bag. Reporters used his name for every spicy headline they could cook up, and the fans ate it right up. Cleveland, the city that claims to love underdogs, somehow decided who gets sympathy and who gets dragged through the mud. Remember when Shedeur got that speeding ticket? A tiny traffic stop turned into a week-long moral meltdown. The coverage was so over the top, you'd think he led a high-speed chase through the facility. Meanwhile, weeks later, Myles Garrett gets his own ticket. And suddenly, those same reporters forget how to type. Talk about selective memory. The double standard is wild, and fans are finally starting to notice. The media called one incident a dangerous example for young fans, and the other just a small lapse in judgment. But while they were busy spinning their stories, Shedeur was actually out there, in the community, boots on the ground, showing up where NFL players rarely ever go, unless there's a camera flashing. He was in schools, talking to kids, giving real energy, no PR crew, no fancy lighting, no rehearsed speeches, just pure authenticity. And somehow that honesty, it bothered people in Cleveland's media scene, like being real was some kind of crime. That kind of authenticity shakes people up because you can't script it.
Speeding ticket, right? It was a speeding ticket. Granted, was he going fast? Yeah, he was going fast. But the fact of the matter is, they blew it out of proportion. Myles Garrett, like 2 weeks later, ended up getting a speeding ticket too. But you didn't see it reach the heights that Shedeur did. You didn't see multiple upon multiple videos coming out from these Cleveland media people talking about Shedeur talking about Myles Garrett getting that speeding ticket. But it's things like that that played out to me during the offseason that tried to hurt.
At one point, analysts had Shedeur ranked top 2 in the draft, a generational prospect with poise, strength, and calm under pressure. Cleveland thought they had finally found the guy, but months later, that same confidence vanished faster than a fourth-quarter lead at First Energy Stadium. Suddenly, the same voices that praised him couldn't wait to tear him down. Overnight, the tone shifted. Hard. Shedeur wasn't poised anymore. He was cocky. He wasn't charismatic. He was too flashy. Every headline carried that classic Cleveland contradiction. We believe in our guy until we don't. The hype train turned into a hit-piece marathon. And then came Dillon Gabriel, the so-called safe pick. The new golden boy handed the keys before he even figured out where the ignition was. He didn't bring headlines, he didn't bring controversy, and that made the suits upstairs breathe easy, at least for a minute, because in the first few games, Dillon looked steady, calm, careful, all the things that make PR teams happy but don't win desperate cities championships. But Cleveland's patience, it's paper thin. The same way their offensive line collapses under pressure, so does their loyalty. As the L's started piling up, those same analysts who hyped Dillon as the next big thing started clearing their throats on air, dropping soft warnings, throwing shade disguised as concern. The script was already flipping again, and everyone could feel it. Nobody really went off script, not until that leaked footage hit the internet.
Done with Dillon Gabriel. After another ugly offensive showing, reporters are saying what fans have been screaming for weeks, it's time for Shedeur Sanders. This is bad, man. When the media is done with Dillon Gabriel and they making jokes and they talking about they cussing at the TV and the kids don't repeat what they say, this is bad. Even that hot air balloon they saying Dillon Gabriel threw up, man, he been overthrowing receivers in training camp. It's ridiculous. He missed Jerry Judy wide open in training camp. So
it wasn't criticism, it was a full-blown explosion. A local reporter, clearly fed up with pretending everything was fine, finally snapped and said the quiet part out loud. He went scorched earth, tearing into Dillon Gabriel's performance, the management that kept backing him, and the fantasy that this rookie could somehow carry the entire franchise on his shoulders. It was raw, unfiltered, and completely electric. He called it unwatchable, unfixable. And honestly, Cleveland hadn't seen this kind of public meltdown since their last playoff collapse. But what made the moment sting wasn't the reporter's rage. It was the hypocrisy it exposed. The same people who ripped Shedeur Sanders apart for tiny mistakes had been shielding Gabriel from criticism like he was made of glass. Until that night. Then suddenly, silence turned into fireworks. For weeks, they'd been praising Gabriel's calmness, leadership, and that so-called long-term potential. But once the footage leaked, that loyalty evaporated quicker than Cleveland's postseason dreams. You could almost hear the media backpedaling live on air. The same analysts who hyped him as the future were now saying they always had doubts. The flip was Olympic level, smooth, shameless, and perfectly timed. Because in Cleveland media, there are no mistakes. Only mid-season rewrites. Meanwhile, the fans, they went wild. Twitter turned into a confessional booth where everyone suddenly knew this was coming. Memes flooded the timeline.
That's ridiculous.
Why?
Because
is it Dillon? He can't throw the ball downfield.
Well,
he can't throw the ball.
Does he not see the guys down the field? That's one thing.
And he has seen.
Jeff, I watched
he has seen players down the field his entire college career playing behind 6'5", 6'6" offensive linemen. I don't want to hear he can't see because
Jeff,
the guy was a Heisman finalist by throwing the ball downfield and seeing.
It's not just about height. It's about not...
Gabriel's face plastered on fake movie posters like The Interception Chronicles and 50 Shades of Screen Passes. The internet had zero chill. Fans begged for change. The team's PR scrambled for control. And somewhere deep down, everyone realized this wasn't just a quarterback controversy anymore. It was a full-blown Cleveland spectacle. Some fans defended Dillon like he was blood. Like family you can't admit is wrong no matter what. They swore the offense would be reviewed from top to bottom, except of course for the quarterback position. Everything was supposedly on the table. Except the one thing that actually mattered. That's Cleveland logic for you. They'll swap play callers, shuffle linemen, rewrite the playbook, but never, ever question their chosen quarterback. It's loyalty that sounds noble on paper, but looks completely delusional in real life. Then came Mary Kay, one of Cleveland's veteran media voices, stepping into the chaos with that calm, voice of reason energy. She said the team needed to look inward, communicate better.
A serious starting quarterback, and shame on Andrew Berry for using a top 100 pick on this kid. Shame on the Cleveland Browns for wasting our time, wasting players' time in the offseason, giving this dude first-team reps and acting like he's a legitimate starter.
Find unity. All the right buzzwords. It sounded nice, polished even, until you realized she was describing a team that had already lost control of its own story. That wasn't analysis. That was damage control wrapped in PR speak. Because let's be honest, in Cleveland, communication isn't the issue. The issue is straight up denial. Every single season, the Browns build themselves a new fairy tale, and by mid-season, they're already explaining why it fell apart. The faces change, the jerseys change, but the excuses, they stay on repeat. That's what made that leaked footage hit so hard. It wasn't just a rant, it was a mirror, a reflection of every broken promise. Every next year will be different speech that fans have heard 1,000 times. The fallout was instant and brutal. Sports talk shows ran that clip on loop, adding dramatic background music like it was a movie trailer. Analysts dissected every sentence like it was classified government intel, and the Browns' PR team, they went into panic mode, releasing a statement about staying unified and focusing forward. Translation, please stop talking about this before Sunday's kickoff. But it was too late. The internet had already crowned it the scandal of the season, and Cleveland couldn't mute it if they tried. But the internet, it doesn't believe in mercy. Once that clip dropped, it was game over. The memes turned into digital folklore, spreading faster than wildfire. One viral post showed a split screen, Shedeur Sanders out in the community helping kids on one side, and Dillon Gabriel missing a pass on the other, captioned, "Different energy." Another just said it plain and brutal. Cleveland.
I think he knew it made no sense.
Okay, so wait.
There's no defending that kind of answer.
No, there isn't. So are you making the suggestion? And I don't even know. You might be dead on the money on this one. Okay, I want to flesh this thing out completely here. That Stefanski will play Dillon Gabriel, and if they at any point say you have to go to Shedeur, he'll just continue to say no and no and no, and you know the end result of that.
Yes,
he's asking to get fired.
Yes, or I think there's a lot
like mid-season he's asking to get fired. Either I play Dillon Gabriel and I'm not moving to Shedeur, and if you want me to move to Shedeur,
where quarterbacks go to become content. It was savage, hilarious, and painfully true all at once. What made it sting even more was that Gabriel wasn't the villain here. He was the latest victim of a machine that eats its own. The rookie didn't ask for favoritism. He didn't chase the spotlight. But once the narrative flipped, it crushed him without mercy. He got caught in Cleveland's endless loop of hype and heartbreak, where one week you're the franchise savior, and the next, you're trending for all the wrong reasons, because that's what the media does. They build idols out of promise, then tear them down for clicks. And in Cleveland, that cycle isn't a glitch, it's the entire business model. They don't just report stories, they create them. Then the conversation turned deep. Suddenly, everyone's a philosopher. Reporters debated leadership. Fans questioned loyalty. Podcasts turned into therapy sessions. What does leadership mean for a team that rebuilds itself every single season? What's accountability in a city that refuses to admit it's lost? The takes got wild. Half sports talk, half crime scene investigation. Some blamed management for sleeping on Shedeur's potential. Others said Gabriel never stood a chance, crushed by politics behind closed doors. But in all that noise, the truth sat quietly. Cleveland's problem isn't talent, it's timing. They find the right players at the wrong moment, and by the time they figure it out, the moment's already gone. Cleveland doesn't ruin players because they pick the wrong ones. They ruin them because they pick the right ones at the wrong time under the worst leadership imaginable. It's a cursed formula. Talent meets dysfunction. The result? A never-ending carousel of next big things that never get to actually be big. The leaked footage didn't cause this mess. It just forced everyone to finally see it. After that clip dropped, every camera zoomed in, every mic leaned closer, and suddenly, Shedeur's name started creeping back into the conversation. Quietly at first, then louder. The same reporters who once questioned his attitude were now reconsidering his leadership. Maybe, just maybe, they got it all wrong. Maybe the guy who kept his head down while being dragged was the one who actually understood the assignment. Comparisons started flying again. But this time, they weren't soaked in shade.
That's what I'm saying.
The media know that.
No, they don't.
The media ain't play.
The
media know damn well Dillon Gabriel got 4 games. You going to London, you facing a tough-ass defense. You got to go to Pittsburgh, they cracking right now. They found themselves. You got to go to New England. That's a tough-ass defense.
They're playing good.
You know what I'm saying? They playing good, too. If Dillon Gabriel, the media know, if Dillon Gabriel go 0-4, hey, guess what we got, y'all? Shedeur next. They never going back to Flacco.
You can't.
The media know damn well they not. It don't matter who the two.
Fans began noticing the irony. The player roasted for being too confident was the same one who stayed composed when the media storm hit him hardest. Meanwhile, the player praised for his humility had become the face of a viral meltdown. Some called it poetic justice. Others said straight up, karma. Cleveland just called it Wednesday. As the weeks rolled on, the Browns' record barely moved. Dillon Gabriel showed flashes, moments that reminded everyone why he got drafted in the first place. But the shedder of that leaked footage never really left. Every incomplete pass sparked fresh mockery. Every win came with side-eye and skepticism.
The reason why he's starting is because somewhere where he got drafted in the 3rd round, and he's supposed to be one of the quarterbacks where he's smart. He might not have the big arm, might not be a big quarterback because he's pretty small, but he's smart. This ain't smart. Where you going with this? He had a couple plays in this game where I was trying to figure out where's he going? Because quarterbacks like him that might not be super talented, they be smart and they know where to go with the ball. Because like your argument is why we not playing Shedeur because of that, because he's smart and all that. But man, it's time to move on now. We seen him.
Wow. So you think it's time to move on already?
Like, what are we waiting on? They getting beat every week. They getting beat on and beat on and beat on. Your star player is frustrated, and he got.
Once the Cleveland media turns on you, redemption stops being a storyline. It becomes a punchline. Trust had left the building. The fans didn't trust the coaches. The media didn't trust the players. The players didn't even trust the process anymore. Everyone was drained, exhausted from pretending this year would finally be different. And buried deep in that exhaustion was something weirdly beautiful. The tragic poetry of Cleveland football. A city that keeps hoping, keeps hurting, and somehow keeps showing up anyway. That's Cleveland in a nutshell. Eternal optimism, blind loyalty, and the kind of wild hope that survives heartbreak after heartbreak. No matter how many times history crushes their dreams, this city keeps believing like it's the first game of the season, and maybe that's why this story cuts so deep, because deep down everyone recognizes it.
And you wanted to draft Dillon Gabriel, and this is what he's putting out there on the field for you. Because it was very, very clear who liked Dillon Gabriel. It's come out in reports that Kevin Stefanski likes Dillon Gabriel. He processes his offense well. He expected the offense to take the next step with Dillon Gabriel in there. It's his guy. This offense has been putrid, absolutely putrid. Checkdowns, missing a ton of reads, underthrown balls. Every time he looks like he's trying to throw the ball deep, he puts all of his effort into it and it goes maybe 20 yards.
The names change, the years change, but the story, it stays exactly the same. The viral footage might fade from the timeline, but its message won't. It exposed a truth that's been hiding in plain sight for years. The Browns aren't just fighting opponents, they're fighting themselves. And maybe that's the real tragedy here. Not that Dillon Gabriel got roasted on a hot mic, not that Shedeur Sanders was unfairly judged, but that Cleveland keeps hitting reset like it's tradition. The scoreboard resets, the lineup resets, and the lessons, they vanish too. As the cameras shut off, the debates die down, and the memes start to fade. One question still echoes louder than a missed throw. How many more quarterbacks will it take before Cleveland finally learns? Online, hashtags popped up faster than touchdowns in a college highlight reel.
Interceptions in yesterday's game. I was watching, I think it was Rex Ryan on TV, and he was breaking down those interceptions. They all came from when the defense decided to clog the middle with a center blitz, blocking the line of vision for a shorter quarterback. This has been my whole point with Dillon Gabriel. You cannot name me a quarterback his size of recent that has been successful. These defensive linemen are 6'7", 6'8".
Every sports analyst suddenly turned into a philosopher, asking deep questions like whether Gabriel had the heart to lead not just a team, but a city. Meanwhile, the reporter who dropped the footage became a legend overnight. Cleveland's new folk hero of sports journalism, armed with nothing but a mic, a smirk, and the nerve to humble a quarterback on camera. But here's the wild twist. The footage wasn't even scandalous. There was no screaming, no locker room chaos, no off-field drama. It was just a small, brutally human moment. A frustrated player upset at himself, his play, maybe even the crushing pressure of being Cleveland's latest chosen one. But in the viral age, subtlety doesn't stand a chance.
Not that I'm already not annoyed, if that's not clear. Because we know what we have in Dillon Gabriel now. I've said it since the start what we had in Dillon Gabriel. He's shown it on the field. He's a career backup, and that's what it's going to be. At least let Shedeur Sanders get out there. Let's see what we have in him, because there's a real chance that he could show something. But at the end of the day, we need to see something before we get to the draft next year. I'm not sticking with Dillon.
One flicker of emotion becomes a full-blown meltdown. One moment of honesty becomes arrogance. That's how it goes now. Like one clip, one quote, 1 second out of context, and suddenly you're not just a player anymore, you're the story. And in Cleveland, that's a weight even the strongest arms can't throw off. They saw doubt and instantly screamed, "Diva!" The nuance didn't stand a chance. Cleveland's PR team went into full-blown panic mode. Press conferences suddenly started sounding more like therapy sessions than football talk. The Browns, already allergic to anything that resembles stability, found themselves right back where they're most comfortable, knee-deep in chaos, perfectly disguised as progress. The locker room that was supposed to rally around a promising young quarterback instead split straight down the middle. Some players saw Dillon Gabriel as a fighter, someone grinding to earn respect.
Dillon Gabriel started getting first-team reps immediately after he was drafted. The team, Kevin Stefanski, the coaching staff, they said, this guy's ready for that. He's advanced. He understands the terminology. He understands how the offense operates. He's done this. He gets first-team reps. He's ready to go. We're confident enough in him to trade Kenny Pickett and make him the backup quarterback. We're confident enough to make him the starter, and then we'll trade Joe Flacco and just get him out of here anyway, because we're confident in what Dillon Gabriel can do. He had all summer, all training camp, all preseason as that, the rookie that was taking first team reps. And after 4 games, it's clearly obvious he is not.
Others saw him as a headline waiting to happen, a walking storyline the media couldn't resist twisting. The tension got thick. Side eyes in the locker room, whispers in interviews, and that unspoken feeling that this wasn't just football anymore, it was survival. And through all of it, Dillon had to keep smiling through the storm, pretending like being roasted by millions of strangers was just part of the process. The poor guy tried to keep his head up while the internet turned him into a meme. That's the cruel beauty of it. In trying to survive the leak, Dillon became exactly what the internet wanted him to be. A story, the Browns' latest tragic hero, caught between hype and heartbreak. So if you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and share. Because in Cleveland, the drama never ends, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. See you on the next one.